Well, good evening. Ethan back for another beer review, and I am doing Old Rasputin Imperial Stout. Russian Imperial Stout, 9% alcohol by volume. It has the little tag on it, rate beer, 100 points. Yes, 100 points on rate beer, the Old Rasputin. It gets at 96 on Beer Advocate, so Beer Advocate doesn't rank it quite as high, but it's still a great score for Beer Advocate. It's out of North Coast Brewing Company in California, which was independent since 1988. Product of the USA. Fort Bragg, California. This is the 12-ounce bottle. This Russian Imperial Stout is 9% alcohol by volume. It is 75 IBUs and 303 calories per 12 ounce. So this is a heavy, not a diet beer, heavy beer. I've never seen a beer with over 300 calories. I was shocked to see that. 303 calories, that's insane. This is like a dessert, basically. Let's go ahead and crack it without further ado. See if there's any smoke. A little bit. All right. I think I had this once before, but it was years ago, and I have no recollection of it at all, really. I think I bought a single somewhere, but I don't remember it at all. So, for all practical purposes, this is kind of my first reaction to this beer, and captured on camera. Let's get a pour. Try to get an aggressive pour to generate some head. All right, fast rising, dark caramel khaki colored head. Almost the entire glass is head. I mean, that's a 5-finger head at least. That's a massive head. Wow, that looks nice. Look at that. All that foamy richness. Very big head, foamy, attractive appearance. Let's get an aroma. On the aroma, I'm getting a deep, dark, toasted barley malt and maybe a little bit of alcohol, like a little bit of bitterness. With the second sip, I get a rush of chocolate and coffee, very similar to the Founder's Breakfast Stout. I got this, that, and this at the same liquor store, a 4-pack of each. This was $13.99 for a 4-pack of 12-ounce bottles, so a little bit up there, but it's worth it. You know, it's Old Rasputin. On the bottle, this little excerpt says, Old Rasputin develops a cult following wherever it goes. It's a rich, intense brew with big, complex flavors and a warming finish. And it says, brewed in the tradition of 18th century English brewers who supplied the Russian court of Catherine the Great. So that's interesting. It's got the little picture of Rasputin on the front, kind of sinister looking. I think he was like a crazy Russian monarch or something. I don't know much about the history, but I know enough about it that I know he was an unsavory fellow. Deep, dark chocolate malt, such a delicious aroma. The aroma really gets you in anticipation of what's to come with the flavor, and I'm real excited to try this one on camera. I love stouts. I love Imperial Stouts. It's the time of year for them. I mean, you can drink them whenever you want, in all honesty. I mean, you don't have to just do it in fall and winter, but they do tend to hit the spot in the cooler weather. All right, the head is, well, it's taken a while to die down, but it's getting there, you know. It's about half beer, half head now. Nice contrast appearance of the dark black, very nearly black. This is almost devoid of color. Very nice contrast of the black beer and the lighter colored khaki caramel colored head. That would be a kind of a dark khaki. I wouldn't call this like a khaki, like your pants khaki. This is like a corduroy khaki or something. North Coast Brewing. They have the little whale on there. Since 1988, so not a real old brewery. There are other reviews for this beer on YouTube that I have not watched, but I will after trying this. Again, rate beer 100 points. That's incredible. And the Beer Advocate 96. It doesn't. Those two websites don't usually throw out that generous of a rating. So this has to be good. Well, let's go ahead and try it. Let me get another aroma. With a beer like this, they say, as it warms, you get different notes, different aromas. And I do get a little more chocolate as it warms. That first initial, smell was just kind of a toasted barley malt and a bitterness, but now I'm getting much more of a sweeter aroma. But let's go ahead and try it. Cheers. Okay, you're getting a dark toasted bitterness. I mean, they must toast the heck out of these malts. Toasting the malts does not elevate the alcohol, but it does give it a bitterness. The alcohol also gives it a bitterness at 9%. And you do get a little bit of the alcohol on the aroma, or flavor, I should say. And it's not overwhelmingly bitter and like off-putting. It has a nice, tasty coffee bitterness, like a black coffee with some chocolate maybe. But with that initial sip, I definitely got more bitterness, more malted barley. I said malted. More malted barley, toasted barley malt with that sip, and the bitterness from the 9%, though it's not overly bitter. It's weird. The exact same thing happened with the Founders Breakfast Stout. That second sip, it like changed. Maybe as it warms, different, as the beer kind of coalesces together and warms and the head kind of dissipates into the beer, maybe the flavors change and adapt and whatever. But with that second sip, just like the Founders, I get a different kind of flavor, like a more of a sweeter, chocolatey flavor. It's like the longer it sits in the glass, like the sweeter it gets. And the first initial presentation is kind of bitter and tart, really. I saw online that they said there's maybe some fruity notes. I'm not really getting that, but do I get any fruity? Not really. I want to call it as I see it or as I taste it, and it's really just a deep, dark, malty bitterness. Alcohol gives it the flavor, the extra heft, and you're getting a bitter coffee and a slight chocolate on the flavor. Not getting a whole lot of fruit. Some people will say dates, raisins, figs. Let's see. I'm going to have to think about this and sip it a few more times. Such a creamy head. I got some of the head with the beer there in it. This is such a good Imperial Stout. Again, it's an American Imperial Stout technically, but it's brewed in the style of a European or Russian Imperial Stout. So it's technically an American Imperial Stout. As it warms, I'm getting different notes, but the dominant note is chocolate, coffee, bitter coffee, and a little bit of an alcohol note with the 9%. It has such a toasty flavor. I've seen beer reviewers describe their stouts as just so toasty, and this is so toasty. Compared to like the Founders, this is a little bit toastier, a little bit more bitter, a little bit more alcohol than the Founders, but it's right up there with that as far as the stout with the quality. The Founders is a little sweeter, perhaps. The Founders is more chocolate. This is more coffee bitterness and a toasted barley malt bitterness. Very bold flavor. I see where the 303 calories are coming from. This is a rich, heavy mouthfeel. It's not. When you drink this, when it hits your mouth and your tongue, you feel it. It's just bursting with thickness. I wouldn't call it a highly viscous stout. It's not like motor oil or sludge, but it's pretty thick. This is a bold, thick stout, an Imperial Stout. Basically what that means is a stouter stout, a stout with higher alcohol. So that's all Imperial Stout really means. It's just an extra stout. And then a porter would kind of be like a stout light. Okay, with that sip, I got a little bit of chocolate. This is enjoyable, but this is a sipper. This is not something you want to chug. I mean, you could if you wanted, but that'd be foolish, really. You wouldn't get the complex flavor notes, and at 9%, I wouldn't do that. You want to sip it, you want to think about it, you want to see how the flavors kind of play out. There's a lot going on here. It's tasty, it's delicious, it's bold, it's just everything that Imperial Stout should be. I would give this a 98. It's borderline world class. It's a delicious Imperial Stout, one of the best I've had. Why not a 99 or an 100? Well, it's maybe not as smooth as the Founders Breakfast Stout, but hey, two different kinds of beer. We don't want to compare them. But this one's a little more bitter, maybe a little harder to drink, but still tasty. And 98, I mean, it deserves it all day, every day. I'll kind of, score it right in there between Beer Advocate at 96 and Rate Beer at 100. You could argue anywhere in that range, 96 to 100. It's deserving of it. A+, borderline world class. It's tasty, it's enjoyable. Again, sip it, take your time drinking, it's not running from you. It's enjoyable. Wow, this is something you only want to have probably one or two a night, and that's it. It's just so complex and rich. And it would be a disservice to the beer to chug it, It's delicious. 98 out of 100 for the Old Rasputin Russian Imperial Stout out of North Coast Brewing. Thank you for watching this beer video production. Stay tuned for more, and cheers. Thank you.